What's going on, Master Connectors? We are on here and we are live. Let us go. Here we go. He challenged me. He said, you should meet 2 or 3 people every day.
We're talking about how to level up on LinkedIn and engagement, meaning the go-giver, the idea that being open to opportunity.
We're all deal with challenges, but how do you overcome them?
Master Connector with Steve Spiro and Cameron Toth is live on air.
Yes, we are live on air. What's going on, friends, here? Let's see if I can get this going here. All right. Some technical stuff going on, of course. There we go. Here we go. What's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And we are excited, pumped about today's show. We appreciate you joining and tuning in. Welcome, everybody. First time on the show. We appreciate you. People that show up regularly, we appreciate you as well. Make sure you tell us where you're coming in from. If you're coming in from, like I am, Stamford, Connecticut, just let us know, wherever you're from. If it's your first time, we'd love to hear that as well. But we're going to have an amazing show today. So before I get into our guest today, I want to kind of chat with you a little bit here. And, life's a journey. Life's a journey filled with highs and lows, successes and failures, and triumphs and setbacks, right? And in those moments when we find ourselves on the ground, it's our ability to rise again that defines us. And it's the resilience within us that allows us to bounce back stronger than ever, right? And today we're going to be gathering insights from an individual who has not only faced adversity head on, but has also emerged victorious, right? And in today's show, we're going to provide you with the tools, the inspiration, and wisdom to navigate life's challenges and come out on top. You know that bouncing back, it requires more than just self-awareness. That's for sure. And it takes courage to step out into our fears, to face the unknown, and to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth, right? I mean, I'm working out every day, and every time you break down muscle tissue, right, you grow stronger, right? And that's a big, important part of success, important part of growth. But bouncing back requires, it takes courage to step into our fears and face the unknown, and to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth, right? Again, working out, it sucks, right? The first 3 letters of success is suck, S-U-C, right? So you got to go through the suck to get through success. But finally, the ultimate truth is that everything works out, right? I found that for sure, that somehow, some way, things always work out. You might be in the midst of a challenging situation, but time and time again, somehow life has a way of working itself out. Call it God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, the universe, but it works out, right? Just somehow, give it time. So we're going to look at practical techniques to uncover your authentic self, right? Because part of our show, right, the Master Connector show, is about being authentic, connecting authentically. So uncover your authentic self and harness your unique qualities to overcome any obstacles. Another big pillar of our show, right? Overcoming obstacles. So let's get ready. If you're ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, courage, and an unwavering faith, let's get ready to introduce a guest. So if you're ready to introduce our amazing guest, I'd like you to type in right now in the comments, type in bring it. And I don't have a prompt here because I'm flying solo, but type in bring it, and we'll get this ball rolling here. So, all right. So here we go. We're going to bring up our man. Let's see. And I'm going to pull him up full screen. So let's bring him in. There we go. All right. Here he is. All right. Jesse Gittler, right? Jesse is a people first. What's that?
No, I was just saying that is correct. You pronounced it right.
Very good. Very good. Jesse is a people first leader who gets fulfillment from seeing others succeed. He has over 10 years running sales teams and has recently built out his own consulting business. His focus in his career and his life has been to help people step into their light, raise their awareness, and most importantly, enjoy the ride. So please welcome to the show the bounce back kid himself, Mr. Jesse Gittler. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Steve. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great show. We're excited to have you on. And I know it's this has been a little bit in the making, so appreciate you. All right. So we're gonna dive into it. So, we love when people tell their story, right? So love to hear a little bit of the story, right? Can you share a story where you faced a challenging situation, but ultimately everything worked out? And if you could share kind of along the ways what the lesson you learned from that experience. And I'm sure there's tons of stories, but love to hear a little bit of you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a lot, like everybody. Yeah. I mean, life is hard and it's filled with challenges. Yeah. But actually, something I'm currently going through right now, I think is important to bring up. And I just got off the phone from this situation a half hour ago. So I'll talk quickly about, what I'm going through and how I'm going through it. So my mom actually, I've had 15 years of trouble and problems she's had. She had a traumatic brain injury when I was 18 years old. And since then, all types of situations have occurred with her falling and just needing help and support and all of that. And, she fell a month ago and I had to go back to New York and, just take her to surgery and help her with all of that. And a half hour ago, right before this show came up, she went to go get a checkup and we found out that her arm is broken again in 2 more places and she needs to get surgery again. So obviously a very tough situation. I may have to go back to New York after this call, whatever it may be, and it's so important to realize that, first of all, when you're going through something that's very hard, you're growing from it. Yeah. You're always learning, you're always healing, and you don't always recognize that in the moment. You don't recognize, you don't feel it. You just feel down. You just feel heavy. You just feel like everything sucks. But it's only till you face it again, or you face something similar again, when you realize you are that person. Yeah. Like you've grown from this, you have new tools to handle it. So I think the first part is recognizing what this actually is, right? What we're actually doing, and stop putting definitions on things, right? Even when we talk about things like, how did you bounce back? Or how did you triumph from this adversity? Then we would have to say, what does define triumph, define bouncing back? And then when we put definitions on things, now we're putting expectations on them. And when we put expectations on them, now we're giving ourselves an opportunity to judge ourselves if we don't meet those expectations. And then things come full circle. Yeah. So I think most importantly, in what I'm doing right now, is I understand that this is what it's all about. In order to go up, we must go down. Those are where the lessons are learned. So the awareness of that and realizing that every opportunity, every experience that happens is an opportunity for me to learn more about who I am, so that I could approach the next situation from a 0-point center where I'm not too crazy. I'm not going to either side. And then more people, for instance, my family right now, can look at me as a calm presence, as a light, a bright one, and say, wow, okay, we got this. We're going to get through this. Because when you learn from these experiences, which is the point of the whole thing, right, then it will always work out. So I thought that was an interesting real life example of right now how I'm dealing with something.
Well, I appreciate that. And, my hearts and prayer goes to your mom. And yeah, it's just, and thank you for, obviously you could have probably called last minute and say, hey, I'm dealing with stuff with mom, family, but thank you for keeping your word to this. And we'll keep this right on time so you can get off this and go right to helping your mom. But I know how important family is to all of us, and it certainly is to me as well. But you made a lot of great points there. And, it's almost become kind of a cliche today, but you're either winning or you're learning, right? And through that, those challenges, right? I heard it in a great book, Think and Grow Rich. In every adversity, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit, right? And we learn from those things. There's something good that's going to come from it. And there's also another phrase that has helped me in times, which is, and this too shall pass, right? There's always something that's going to happen. But again, we're going to get through it. And then at the same time, we're going to learn from it and grow and be better for it the next time. And then I also enjoyed what you said about being the light and being that sort of inspiration, and, you know, for your family and for the folks around you. You know, I'm a big leadership guy, right? And how do you spell leadership, right? This is from John Maxwell, right? He spells it EXAMPLE, right? Example. It's your example. So, you know, how do you, sometimes it's hard to get people to do what you think they should do or what you want them to do, right? It's almost impossible, right? A man convinced against his will is still of the same opinion still, right? But when you do and you show, right, that's to me the best way to help people perhaps see a different way, a different light, if you will. So, but I want to just acknowledge a few folks here on the show here. Lysander, I don't know if we've had you on the show before, but it's good to see you, buddy. He's your friend, right? Your connection, right? Yeah. Travis, good to see you, my man. It has been a while. We need to reconnect for sure. Yolanda, thank you. Loyal follower for years. We appreciate you, Yolanda. Carlene, that was great connecting with you on LinkedIn. You know, and who else is on here? We got some other folks here, but I want to keep going with the show here. I just want to take some time to acknowledge who is on. But again, you know, get in the comments, connect with each other. This is the Master Connector Show. So we want people in there. We want you participating. If you're on LinkedIn watching, which we know there's a lot of people on watching, if you're on watching and you're not in the comments, we don't know you're there. So get in the comments, say something, put one of the hashtags we encourage you to do. But anyway, we're appreciative. And again, if you're working in this, you know, I get it, right? So no worries. But glad that you're here with us in our community, and make sure you share this out with your community, because I believe, you know, if they get a chance to hear some of this content, I believe it'll be a big blessing for them. All right, we're going to keep this rolling. All right, we're going to get into the next thing we want to talk about is the how, right? We kind of started with the story. Now we're going to get into the how. So community, type in hashtag how. And for those who are kind of watching and not participating, because we're LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers, right? But type in hashtag how, right? It's this way sometimes people, I know my mom for quite a while was following our show, and she had some health stuff. So not so much these days, but she was like, I want to say something, but I never know what to say. So, all right. So if you don't know what to say, type in hashtag how, okay? All right, Jesse, here we go. You ready? Mm-hmm. So how do you define grit, and how can individuals develop it to overcome obstacles in their lives?
Great question. And, you know, for 10 years of running sales teams, one of the biggest characteristics that we tested for was grit. Because in sales, you need to be resilient. You need to be able to push through. And sales, just like life, right? It's a series of these things. How I would define grit in its simplest form is simply just courage, right? And I don't think it needs to be developed. I really don't. I just think it needs to be recognized. I think that we all have a maximum amount of it. And we just need to realize that. And we don't need to be perfect, and we don't need to be absolutely confident in every situation. We just need to be courageous. We just need to keep getting up. And that stems from realizing that this is one big universe. Yeah. It's just one big school. So we're constantly learning. And I would define grit as courage. What was the second part of the question, or was that it?
And how can individuals develop it more to overcome obstacles in their life?
Yeah. So to the same original point, I don't think we develop it. I think we recognize it. How do we recognize it? I think is learning more about who we actually are and asking ourselves the right questions during the right times. I would write these 2 questions down if I were in this chat right now. Okay. Write these 2 questions down I'm going to give you, and take them very seriously. I would journal in these questions anytime you're experiencing something that's really tough or really hard. First question, what is this experience asking me to know about myself? There's no right answers. Just write down what you think is coming to mind. What is this experience asking me to know about who I am? Next question, what is this experience asking me to accept about myself? Right? Because that's what it always comes full circle about, is acceptance of who we are, where we are. But at the same time, there has to be an acknowledgement of I'm not where I need to be. And within that is the paradox of life, because we're okay where we are and we need to love ourselves exactly where we are right now. But we are growing and we can be better than this. So there's that grace and that devotion that go back and forth. And it's that balance that we're always looking for.
Love that. Yeah, that's great. If you can, I don't know if you're good at multitasking. I'm trying to do a bunch of things all at once. If you have a chance to write those questions in the chat, that would be great. The community, definitely take Jesse up on his challenge. Seriously, it's a great exercise. Yeah. And if you feel comfortable sharing some of that in the comments with us too, community, please do so. Right? That's awesome. But well, that is really some amazing stuff. And so, yeah, we're going to keep rolling as he puts that in the comments. And again, if you haven't done this already, just make sure you're telling us where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions, right, for me, for Jesse, feel free to put it in the comments. Put it in, and we will get to your questions. I hope so. Again, I'm multitasking here, but we definitely,
I don't have an option to put it in the chat. I just see the private chat. Just
all right. All right. So then if you put it in the private chat, I'll copy paste it over. How about that? Yeah. So I don't know, again, if you're going to be able to write that while I'm asking this next.
I got it.
All right, cool. But the next question is on mindset. So community, if you're in a position to type something, I want you to type in the word hashtag mindset, and we'll get into the next question. So, all right, Jesse, again, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to do this, so you let me know if you can, and if not, I'll start answering, and then I can let you chime in. Okay, cool. So in what ways can individuals cultivate an others-focused mindset and actively pay it forward to help others bounce back from setbacks? Right? I know you have a sales team you manage. I know you're very much other-focused. That's a big part of our pillar here of our show, is being others-focused and having the grit, having, being a go-giver, right? Bob Berg from him and John David Mann writing the book. We appreciate that. So if you can just tell us a little bit of what your perspective is on that, and how to kind of cultivate that others focused mindset.
Yeah. And my perception and perspective of this question has changed, as I think all answers should, y'all, as you grow. Like the way you answer a question should change because you are changing. And I think that's something that we get lost in with trying to be authentic, which is, this is how I'm going to answer the question. And then next time it comes up, I need to answer because that's who I am. But that's not what true growth is. And in the past, if you would have asked me, I would have said, well, I'm here to serve others. I'm here to support others. I mean, in my mission, in my life, in my soul, I know that is true. Yeah, that is true. I know that. And that's what I've been doing with my life. It's what's led me to leadership in other places. But from a great leader of mine told me when we had to go through a major riff in the past, a company, which is a major layoff, and it was horrible, right? We had to let so many great people go, and it's the nature of business. And my advice to my managers was focus on your people, just lean. They were stressed. They were worried. And my advice was lean into your people, right? That's what you're here to do. You're here to lean into them. That's what gives you your joy. And he responded with, you need to fill your cup before you fill others. And it really rang true to me. And it's something that I've learned now through my own experience, which is I was so used to giving love outwardly. Yeah. Always looking to save people when I was the one who needed to be saved first. I was the one who needed the love first, because you cannot give what you do not have. So how can you help others? How can you be of service to others? Do it yourself. Step into your own light. Be who you were supposed to be, and show by example and exude that light. And then people will come to you, and then you'll have the resources and the platform to help them. So it's always about helping yourself first, giving yourself what you think you need so bad on the outside, so that you can now give it to others.
I love that. It's a cliche, right? These days, but put on your safety belt. Put the oxygen mask on first when you're in a plane before you help others, right? I've also heard it said, listen, you can't pour out from an empty glass. You have to fill your glass and to the point of overflow, and then you can give others, right? And so you're right. And a lot of times the people that tend to be overly others focused, maybe they tend to be more people pleaser kind of people. In the DISC personality styles, they're probably more of the S personalities, the supportive, the people pleaser types, which no disrespect. I love people like that, right? But they tend to empty themselves out. They have nothing left because they have to make sure to replenish. They have to keep giving themselves stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, real quick, last part on that is that can be an excuse of a lot of times for people to go and try to help other people, because it takes you away from what's really important, which is right here. And you need to focus on this before anything else. So
yeah, no doubt. And the other thing that you spoke about, I want to touch on a little bit, and I agree with you, and that kind of brought it back for me, is making sure you're okay. And for years and years and years, I was always playing the comparison game, and I always fell short. I always didn't feel like I was enough. I was, I would look like a guy who's, young and sharp and crispy like you. And I'm not young enough. I'm not crispy enough. Right. And, you're very articulate. Oh, I don't speak enough. I stutter, whatever. I was always second guessing myself and doubting myself. And until I finally found that I could love myself and accept who I am, then now I'm able to share others. And for me, that ability to accept myself, I'm able to give, words of knowledge or wisdom in the context of from my vulnerabilities and my weaknesses. Right, I was at a book signing this past week. As you can see on the screen here, and I'll probably do a shameless plug again for myself here, but if I could find it. But I had a book signing, and at the book signing, one of the things a lot of times at book signings, people read from their book, but because I'm learning disabled dyslexic, there's my book. Order your copy today. There's a shameless plug. But at the book signing, I was what I did was I just spoke from the heart, and a lot of it's in the book, but I just spoke and I got emotional. I broke down a few times, and you know what? That's okay, because people saw my heart, and I finally got peace within myself that it's okay to share. It's okay to get a little emotional. It's okay to show your weaknesses. And then what that does, I find it breaks down barriers and it allows your light to shine. Whereas before I was tried to be so perfect, I was so imperfect, but trying to be perfect. And it just blocked the blessings, if you want to say that.
Yeah. And let me touch on that real quick, because I think it's a really important point, Steve. And thank you for sharing. And I love that, because the heart is the link to it all. And when you think of what comparison really is, and we all do it, it holds me back. I work on this every day. Every day, oh, this person's doing that, this person's doing that. Who are we actually comparing to? And on what standard? Who told us that we were supposed to compare ourselves to other people? And what comparison really is really just the acknowledgement that somebody has something that you don't think you're worthy of. It really breaks down to that. So now you've realized more about yourself. Why don't I think I'm worthy of what this person has? What do I need to give myself that I'm seeking so much outside? And then, like Steve said, start to love himself, start to give these things himself, and then was able to shine and truly help and he wrote a book on it. Yeah. Because now he was able to actually live through his heart and not live through this fear that, hey, I'm supposed to be some arbitrary place.
It's crazy. It's true. Well, I appreciate that. And Carlene says, your vulnerability is what the people love. I'm loving this episode. And I'm not saying because she's like, but I don't think she means me, although she might, but it's not about me. It's your, as in anyone's vulnerability is really what people tend to relate to and love. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that I'm hoping that was not meant to be just about me, but about anyone, because you show your vulnerability, people will appreciate you, will love you. And I think it's awesome. But I want to move on to the next, because this is a perfect segue, Jesse. And of course, we could always bring back some stuff if we need to. But I want to talk about authenticity, right? How perfect. So #authenticity. as we move into the next topic here. So, and again, to me, it's about sharing. It's about, like, you could speak about authenticity, but do you live it? Do you breathe it? Do you speak about it? Do you share things about you that are authentic? So can you share a personal experience where you had to be authentic and vulnerable in order to bounce back from a difficult situation? And of course, like we said earlier in the beginning of the show, what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah. And I love these questions because they're all linked, and it's all, everything is connected. And if there's one thing you strive to be, for everyone listening, and one thing that I've always strived to be, is authentic. You are one of one, literally. You are one of one. Nobody, if you're, this is to you, if you're listening, nobody's like you. Absolutely nobody's like you. And the problem is, we're trying to be like her and like him, that way and this way, and worrying about what she said over there and what he said that time. And that takes away from what we truly are.
That's right.
And now we're in survival mode, thinking, what do they think about me? When instead of just embracing ourselves, because that's the biggest form of leadership that you can be, is be yourself so someone else can see that.
Yep.
You know, and being authentic and being vulnerable is your natural birthright, right? And it's going to lead you into alignment of what you truly are, and you're going to be able to bring in other people that feel that way. And for me, it was at a young age, I thought about what is attractive to me.
Yeah.
Let me define what attraction is for me. Like, what do I like about this actor? What do I like about this speech? What do I like about this song? What do I like about this video game or this basketball? And it always came back to, they're just doing them, they're just being who they are.
And they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be somebody else. Right. Yeah. I just want to read this real quick here, and then we'll get back to the where we're going with this, which I love. Christina Heike says, and I'm hoping I'm saying your name right, Christina. I apologize if I'm not, but I love to turn my thoughts of I want what that person has into the acknowledgement that this is giving me direction for what I'd like for me as well. I like that. I mean, it's a different way of looking at it, right? Not a comparison thing, but saying, hey, that person has something nice. I could take that and maybe I could add that. Not saying, oh man, not that sort of envious, I don't have that, but hey, I could use that. Why not?
Yeah.
So I love that.
And also, Christina, and to add to that point, every single person that we interact with is a reflection of ourselves.
Sure.
So it's a house of mirrors. So we're just learning more about ourselves through other people. So when we're rooting somebody on, we're really rooting us on, and we're rooting someone down, we're really rooting us down. So it's remembering that also, and finding that. But an authentic time that I had to be vulnerable. I mean, that's been my leadership strategy forever. That's why I've had such a successful career in leading people and helping people grow, is because I've always just stepped into who I am. And if I do not know something, I say I do not know it. And that makes me human, and that makes people relate to me because they are human too. Yeah. So I was laid off in December of last year. After 5 years of running a sales team at a company where I never missed a number, I promoted hundreds of people, and I was thrown into a big group of laid off, and when people ask me what's going on, I got to say I was laid off, and although it had nothing to do with me and nothing to do with my results, I still felt insecure saying it because of what other people may think of that word, insecure, being laid off. I'm just thrown into it. And in the beginning, I would always give them the whole thing. Well, I was laid off, but I was really, I was the best. And then I got all these numbers and all that. And I started to examine that, because once again, y'all, that's what this is about. It's examining how you're acting, how you're feeling, and learning. So you're constantly growing to new levels. Yeah. So I ask these questions and say, why do I need this person to think that I'm enough? I already am. I already am enough. And that comes from me to me. So a time that I had to step into that was recently, when and I had to get on these meetings and with new companies for my consulting business and tell them I was laid off. There was no ifs and ups about it. Like, I had to be straight up about it. So that was definitely a time that I had to go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. I had one time I got laid off in my entire life, and I swore that I'd never let it happen again. But it was tough. It was devastating to a degree because, for me, it was my identity was wrapped up in my career at that point in my life. And it was tough. It was right after 9/11. The towers went down. Turns out that my company was going to actually lay us off. And it was me and several other people, but that morning, that Monday, but they decided to wait a week, right? It was a week after 9/11. But so some definite, and 9/11 had its own share of obviously tragedies and things that brought with it. But we bounce back, right? And we learn from it and we grow, and hopefully when you go through these things, you evaluate, right? You take into your inventory, right? I want to go back for a minute though, and I want to share one thing. We're talking about as I think it was Carlene had brought that point up. We're talking about how on the good side of see somebody and you want to kind of maybe emulate some of those things. You want to take those and sort of maybe make them your own. But I also find, I don't know if you found this, but a lot of times we get pissed off and angry and kind of maybe don't like things about people because we see ourselves in that too. Like if they're pushy, it's because, and we don't like that about them, it's probably because we're a little pushy too, and we don't like that about ourselves either, right? Sometimes it's like you were saying before, Jesse, it's a reflection often of ourselves many times, Yeah.
Like I said, university, that's where we are. It's all just learning. So everybody's here just for us to learn more about who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great segue, because we want to get into the next section of this, and that is going to be on support. So perfect as we talking about, people and helping. And so let me get to so type in hashtag support community. And so here's the question, right, Jesse? How can individuals better understand themselves and their strengths in order to bounce back more effectively? We're sort of digging into that a little bit. And are there any specific exercises or practices perhaps that you would recommend?
Yeah. The questions we ask ourselves for everything. The questions we ask ourselves for everything. We could drop the mic right now, Steve, and get off. Like, they really are. The questions you ask yourself are going to define how you live your life. The two questions I gave, extremely important. Self-analyzation of where you are and what you're actually learning from this, and who you are, how you're becoming who you are crucial. Another exercise: what is the purpose of what I'm going through?
Yep.
What is the purpose of what I'm going through? And taking the expectations and the definitions of this way of living off the table and breathing through it, and when I take inventory, like Steve said, and I look back at my life, I really, please, do this, sit down and think about your life and think about the major moments in your life. My father passed, who was the most important person ever to me, suddenly, 4, 5, 6, I don't even know how long ago. Okay. My mom had a traumatic brain injury. I was engaged for 5 years. I lost my job that I was in for 5. I've been through so many of these major things. And when I sit down and think about it, I truly feel like the luckiest person in the world. The luckiest person in the world. Every single thing is happening exactly as it should. And if you don't believe me, take your own inventory and trace your own story and realize that in the moment of this terrible, 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 terrible thing, what did it lead you to? What did it lead you to? Because nobody has a straight line through, y'all. Nobody has a straight line through. We have to go down in order to go up. Just like when we jump to gain energy, we go down to gain energy to go up. So I think those are two good things.
That's awesome. That's great. All right, so we're getting to the bottom of the show. I want to fit in one more question for you, Jesse, if that's okay with you, sir. And so the question is going to be on overcome, right? And obviously one of our pillars of our show is overcoming obstacles, right? So type in hashtag overcome, and fear, right? False evidence appearing real, right? That's the an acronym of fear, right? But fear often holds people back from bouncing back, right? How can individuals find courage to step into their fear and overcome them?
As you mentioned, fear is an illusion. It's not actually real. The feeling you have from it is real. Don't get me wrong. When you know, the feeling that it's creating inside you is real. You're feeling that. You're feeling nervous. You're feeling anxiety. But the actual thing that you're scared of, the fear in itself is not. And I think too much of the time we wait for something to happen to have courage, right? So we're waiting for something, for somewhere, for someone, or we're looking for a tip like right now for how do I have courage? Just keep going. Just keep going, you know, and recognize that everything is just a lesson, and take that perspective with you so that you're not always trying to achieve something from whatever comes, because then when you don't get to that, like I mentioned, we're putting these definitions on things. I need to overcome. I would change overcome to understand. I don't need to overcome this obstacle. I need to understand this obstacle. Okay. Because understanding is winning. Understanding is winning. Understanding is overcoming. But it's the definition that gets us messed up, which goes back into the questions we're asking ourselves. So I would say do it scared. Do it scared, right? Like, you don't have to feel so good, so perfect about, coming on this show. I just got off a call. I told you I with a doctor, my mom, my family, everybody tell you. I'm not feeling good about bouncing back right now, but I did it anyway, That's
right. That's right. Yeah, I got to say, fear the fear, feel the fear, and do it anyway, right? That's another phrase. And just move. Do something. Don't stand still. Move. One little action will get you in motion, and that will help you. Staying still and stagnant is going to paralyze you. And I know we have this, the reptilian, this sort of the amygdala that kind of, fight or flight or freeze, right? Those are the three, right? Try to avoid that freeze. Try to just move. Try to go do something. And moving, it'll get a little bit of momentum, and you could build on that. That would be my recommendation. But great stuff here. So we are pretty much done here. I want to just acknowledge our sponsor, Cameron's. Cameron, he's in Cancun right now. He's in Mexico, enjoying himself. He deserved it, well deserved. But I want to, honor his company that helps sponsor the show. So thank you, Cameron, and Toth Event Staffing, incredible company. Obviously, if you haven't had a chance, order my book. Highly recommended. I wrote it, so whatever. It's a shameless plug, but I did put the link in the chat if you are interested in that. I just want to also mention, as we're going to start to close down here, next week's show, episode 126, we're crazy, which is how to break free. So we're back. We're sort of in this series of the how-tos, right? So we did the how to bounce back. Now it's how to break free by my man Dan Blanchard, and so that's going to be a fun episode. I'll put that in the comments here so you can see that. And but I just appreciate everybody. There was a lot of great comments here. If I didn't get to yours, I see Jeff is in the house. Jeff Serrano is in. Thank you for joining us. And I want to acknowledge, I think he may have been on our show once or twice before, but Michael David, thank you for being on here with us. We appreciate you as well, sir. And anyone else who has not, I also want to make sure I acknowledge John McPhillips. He's been a very loyal follower and good friend, networker of mine. John, it's great to see you on here with us. Appreciate you, sir. And I know you did mention in the comments about you having a 7-year layoff that you went through. So, I know we've spoken about that in the past. But anyway, before we end the show, which we're going to count down to crush it, I would like some final comments or thoughts and best way to have people reach you, Jesse. If you could just, give us again whatever on your heart and how they could reach the community could reach you, please.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate everyone jumping on. The key, the answer, the question, all of it is just love, and it's just about following your heart. And I think when all else fails, lean into that, and you'll have all the answers. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Jesse Gittler or Instagram at Jesse Gittler.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And you know what? Listen, you're right. When it's all said and done, love, right? To me, if John Lennon said it, right? All we need is love. I think it was John Lennon or the Beatles. I forget which one of Paul or John.
Yeah.
It was John. Yeah, I was right. So trust your instincts, right? John Lennon said it, right? All you need is love, right? So All you need is love. Really, it's really true. If we just love ourselves, love others, to me, that is, and there's actually scripture on that, but that's the key for everything. Love yourself, love others, and if you have a higher power, then love your higher power, love your God. So those are the biggest commandments, right, if you will. So anyway, we appreciate you, Jesse, being on here. So we have a little tradition. Not sure if you're aware of it or not, but we count down to crush it. I got to get this up here again. My co-host. The more I am not on here, he's not on with me, the more I start to realize how amazing he is and all the magic he does. So we're gonna put our hands up, count 5, 3, 2, 1, and then we're gonna shout out, crush it, and punch the screen. So we appreciate you guys. Remember, next week, same time, same bad channel, August 9th, for how to. I already forgot what it is. How to break free. I know Queen did a song on that one. I want to break free. But anyway, let's count down and we'll get this party ended here. So ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crush it. All right. Appreciate you guys. All right. Stand by for the video. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys, and have an amazing day. Go out and crush it this week. And we will see you guys next week.